how many of you know who the Beatles are? All right, fantastic. And I know everyone knows who the Beatles are. The Beatles are a household name. It's about like saying, I don't know who Barack Obama is, or I don't know who President George W. Bush is, or Obama and Bush, are they presidents? It's like, it's TMI if you don't know who the Beatles are. I don't want to know. I mean, I really don't. Now, one thing that some of you may not know is my background with the Beatles. In 1980, I was a co-op student at Auburn University, and as a co-op student, I got to work for John and Yoko Lennon in New York City. Incredible experience. Now, I don't know if you've ever met these little kids that have imaginary friends. Anybody ever seen that? And I'm not going to tell you this today. This is another story. So you can ask yourself, is this story true, or does Bill have imaginary rock star friends? For today, the thing is 100% true. So when I met John and Yoko, the first time I met John Lennon, he was in his study. And I noticed he was blind as a bat. He didn't know where his glasses were, and he was fumbling around trying to find his glasses. So I immediately knew I had one thing in common with the man, and that is we're both nearsighted. There's a slight difference in that he preferred to wear glasses, and I prefer to wear contacts. But there's something that I learned about myself about a year ago that I have in common with John Lennon that I did not know in 1980. About a year ago, I was diagnosed with a medical condition called Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. Now, part of the story is I don't really think it is a disorder, especially if you know you have it. But if you don't, it can behave like a disorder. How many of you have met someone, have a friend, family member, or have yourself been diagnosed as ADD? Okay, several people. For the rest of you, it will be a bit of an education, and I'm hoping I can tell even those of you who know someone with ADD, give you a bit more information about ADD. There's really three things I want to do today. First is to define ADD, let you know what it is. I want to explain a little bit more about what it is by giving you an example. I'm going to give you a great website you can go to for information about ADD. And then I'm going to tell you the most important thing, and that is the one thing anyone with attention deficit disorder, whether that's yourself, friend, or family member, can do that will improve the quality of his or her life. So, what is attention deficit disorder? I think this is too important to not read almost word for word from one of my favorite ADD authorities, Dr. Ned Hallowell. Dr. Hallowell says this. He says, attention deficit disorder, or ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, is a neurological condition that's usually genetically transmitted. It's characterized by distractibility, impulsivity, and restlessness or hyperactivity. Both disorders, the symptoms are present from childhood on, and with a much greater intensity than in the everyday person. And this next phrase is key, so that they interfere with everyday functioning. That part's the key, because most people are distracted at times, most people are restless at times, but for someone who's ADHD, he or she is distracted enough that it interferes with everyday functioning. I can't possibly, in a 5 to 7 minute speech, tell you everything I would like to about attention deficit disorder, but I can point you to a website. And it's real easy to remember. Think of it like this. It's not Halloween, it's Hallowell. Dr. Hallowell. Or you can look at it like this. On Halloween this year, I'm going to dress up as Dr. Hallowell. And that's DrHallowell.com. Best source on the internet as far as I'm concerned for information about ADD. Here's an example that I think explains ADD better than any of those scientific definitions, and that's this. Let's pretend that the flag over there, that's a goal, and my goal is to reach the flag. Here's how someone that is not ADHD will get to the goal. Goal achieved. Here's how someone with ADHD who is not interested in whatever that goal is. Let's say, in my case, I took managerial accounting at a graduate level, wasn't good at it at undergraduate level. I'm like, what in the world am I doing taking this at a graduate level? And I wasn't interested in the topic matter. This is how I approached my goal of making a B, which I did make, in managerial accounting. I take a step here, and I take a couple steps over here because, God, this is boring, and I want to turn on the TV, and there's a football game on. I take a couple steps up here. Oh, I need to call my buddy Joe. I haven't talked with him in 7 years. Better do that right now. And go over here, and I'm turning on the TV. Oh, Trang's on the TV. I want to listen to what Trang has to say. And I take a few more steps, I zig and zag, and I finally get the goal. So I achieved my goal, but it just took me a lot longer, and I had to study a lot harder to get my goal. Now, on the other hand, here is me getting ready to do a speech or writing a speech. I'm zig and zag and zig. I go back and forth, I zig and zag, but I go fast to the goal. And that's because people with attention deficit disorder actually have the opposite condition. When it comes to something that they like, they can hyper-focus and they can actually concentrate on that thing to a higher extent than someone who is not ADHD. My opinion, this costs our country billions of dollars a year because most people who are ADHD don't realize that they're ADHD. For an example of what productivity one can have with this so-called disorder, which, by the way, I think a better name when you know you have ADHD, I think it's more like attention deficit creativity condition. I don't know if anybody else thought of that term first, so I can't give them credit. But attention deficit creativity condition. Go to Google and type in cool people with ADHD. I'm not on the list yet. I'm working on it, but I'm not there. But what you'll find on that list, you will find inventors and actors and actresses and accountants, and you will find any occupation of person you can imagine. So how in the world do these people who apparently can't concentrate real well become that productive? Well, here's how, and this is the number one thing that you can share with a friend that's ADD, or you can do yourself if you have ADD. Dr. Hallowell says the best, quote, cure for ADD is to find something you love to do and do it. On that list, you'll find Albert Einstein, you'll find John Lennon. Both of these people, when I met John Lennon, that's another thing I learned about him real fast. This was a man who found out what he loved to do, and he did it. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you'll remember 3 things about ADHD today that you can use yourself or share with friends and loved ones. And the first thing I want you to remember is this. In my opinion, diagnosed ADHD is a condition. It's just like having blue eyes or brown eyes. It's a condition. It's not a disability, and it's not anything negative at all. In fact, it's positive. Most people with ADHD are extremely creative and can be extremely productive people. The second thing I want you to remember is on Halloween, you're going to dress up as Dr. Hallowell and refer anyone who wants information about ADD to drhallowell.com. The third thing I hope you'll all remember is that I think really for anyone, but certainly for people who are ADHD, the most important thing that he or she can do is find something that you love and do it. Mr. Toastmaster, that's me.